an extremely gifted psychic medium who offers classes that can help you reach your goals. Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 45, Thursday rain with a high near 57, and Friday partly sunny with a high around 61. Next Chapter Booksellers is part of this Saturday's Independent Bookstore Day celebration. Get your passport, earn a stamp at Next Chapter Booksellers, and unlock 20% off future purchases as you explore amazing indie bookstores. Or nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us on this Wednesday evening. I am really, really excited for tonight's program. It's an incredible topic, and I'm really excited to be able to talk about this because, number one, it's timely, unfortunately. But secondly, I think there's a lot of sort of mystery around it. And we're going to get to that in a second. Before we do so, I just wanted to say hello to Adam out in Eden Prairie tonight, who's running the board. I hope you've had a good day, Adam.
Oh, it was a lovely day, and I barely got outside for a minute, and it was still lovely tonight after the sun went down for once. I think Minnesota has finally turned the corner to where once the sun goes down, it isn't going to be hot cold.
Well, I think you just ruined it by saying it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's not uncommon to get snow showers in May, and we just kind of see how the situation goes and what happens there. But first of all, before we bring on Father Bob tonight, I'd like to thank Adam for this the idea for tonight's show, actually. Which is it was a really good idea, and unfortunately, as we all know, as the world knows, that Pope Francis passed away Monday, Easter Monday, and leaves behind quite the legacy, and which that also means now that he also left behind an indelible, empty space. That now there needs to be a new Pope that is brought in and elected, and there is a lot. I've always thought that there's a lot of mystery into how a new pope is elected. Also, what happens when a pope passes away versus to the point that a new pope is brought in. There's some rituals that happen that we want to talk about tonight, and I'm really excited because we're bringing back here Father Bob Bailey, and we've had Father Bob on a couple months back talking about just kind of trying to understand a little bit the Catholic Church's stance on the paranormal, which is I think to a lot of priests may not be an easy question to answer, easy topic, but Father Bob gave us so much of his time and so many great, wonderful, and truthful and authentic answers that I just really have been very fortunate enough over the last few months through different correspondence and stuff to have the opportunity to talk with him. Plus, Father Bob, like myself, is a fan of British television. So right there, we gotta really like each other just for that. And I am just really excited to bring you on. Father Bob, welcome back to GhostBox Radio.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
And thank you for staying up late for us tonight. I know that you're an hour ahead, and it's a big ask to have people stay up for us, and I do appreciate that very much. Also, I want to invite our listeners, if you have a question about this process, I please ask it. I will say though that we want to keep the questions about this to the process of bringing in a new pope. That's really all I really want to go with any questions tonight. Okay. Any other questions about the Catholic Church or whatever else? I'm just really sticking with just the pope and that transition that's going to happen. And already you get folks. Stacy says to you, Father Bob, thank you, Father Bob, for being willing to talk to a group like us. I don't know what a group like us really means. I think first though, we got to start now. What? And I had a little chuckle there, and I don't mean the chuckle. What is it that you're wearing tonight? Walk through that with us.
This is called a beretta. And it's a three-sided hat that many priests wear. If you're a bishop, you have a magenta color. If you're a cardinal, you have a red. So I don't have a cardinal's one. This is the best I could do. But I am wearing red over here.
And what do we call that?
This right here?
Yeah.
This is a stole.
A stole. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'Now, I remember, and yeah, I have to admit, I know the hat. I recognize the hat. I grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic elementary school, but I've never seen any of my priests in the time I was at St. Charles that ever wore a hat, though I've seen like a lot of the older pictures of priests wearing that hat. Is that more of a bygone era, or is that's still common?
In the 60s and 70s, it kind of fell out of use, but it's making a comeback among the younger clergy. It is making a comeback.
It's amusing to me, and I'm not trying to say it's funny. It's amusing to me that there's fashion trends amongst priests.
Believe it or not.
Well, and here's the thing, right? That like I said, I went to Catholic school, and you may have worn a uniform, but they'd know if you're wearing Nike Airs or not. You know what I mean? So I mean, it was kind of like you could still be wearing a uniform, but your blue corduroy pants that you're wearing are either designer pants or mine, which were like hand-me-downs. So and I had a lot of kids would say to me, "Where's the flood?" They'd say to me when I was like in third grade, "Where is the flood?" And I'm like, "I don't understand. There's no water around us at all. I don't know what you're talking about." And finally someone had to point out, it's like, because I grew so fast, and I ended up being about 6'1", I grew so fast that my pants at the beginning of the year, they'd fit, but by the time we get to like midway through the year, they'd rise. And so it'd be like not necessarily ankle length, but they were higher than than they should be. And people are like, "Where's the flood?" And it's like, Catholic school. So yeah. Yes, exactly. So unfortunately, Pope Francis passed away on Monday, and left behind quite the wonderful legacy, really a positive influence on the world beyond Catholicism. and the world is truly poor for his passing. When he passed, what happens at that point when he passes, and that he, I guess, really what happens as he dies?
Well, once he passes, obviously nowadays there's a doctor in attendance, but there's an ancient custom where one of the presiding cardinals, who would be the Camerlengo, which is the American cardinal, he would have a symbolic little hammer, gold hammer, and they would just tap on the head and give his baptismal name 3 times. So in this case, they would say Jorge, 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 and then he would pronounce the Pope is dead. And that's from bygone years, but it's a beautiful tradition that continues. And of course, the doctor, the medical examiner is there too. But it's one of those traditions at the Pope's death.
And that would happen after really he is dead, like his heart stopped beating, and that's just part of the ritual that
it's a ritual, right? And then what they do is they take his Pope's ring, which is called the fisherman's ring. It has his unique papal coat of arms. It's taken and smashed and broken, and that symbolizes that his pontificate has ended.
Wow. It's interesting because I was actually talking with Adam about this today, that because I was looking up some of these rituals myself, because I was very curious, and one had mentioned the hammer, one had not. It had mentioned the saying the Christian name. I told Adam, I said, there's no way the hammer one is true, because it seems so. But, but the way you're talking about it, it's gentle. I mean, the way that I read it is just like, no. There's no way that's
probably back in the day, before there was a medical examiner, they probably had to be sure,
Oh my goodness. So. And then the fisherman's ring, like you said, that's broken up, and it's so it's like you said, that's over. When that's broken up, is that gold reformed into the new ring, or is that just discarded, or what happens to that?
Good question. That I don't know for sure. I just know another unique one is made when the new Pope is there. I'm not even sure what it's made of.
Yeah.
I don't remember. And then the other thing that's done is his room is sealed off. You might have seen that on the news. They take a ribbon and they just seal off the papal apartment in his rooms.
Do they open that up again when the new?
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
Interesting. Gosh,
basically that comes from a day when nobody would go in and loot things. That's where it came. It's an ancient reason.
That makes sense. Hopefully that there's better security there now.
There is.
That would need to happen.
It's just ceremony now.
It's all, and that's really what the next 2-3 weeks are really all about, isn't it? To kind of put an end, end that tenure of the Pope.
Yes.
And so what we're seeing today, and we were talking before the program started, we were talking about how the Vatican on YouTube, I was watching live stream of people filing by the casket that the Pope is laid in rest in. And so this is, did I read correctly? This starts a 9-day session of mourning.
Yes. Yeah, they have 9 days of prayer for the Pope. And then Saturday morning will be the funeral mass for him.
And
a unique thing, Pope Francis is never shy of breaking tradition. He will not be buried in St. Peter's Basilica with the rest of the Pope. He'll be buried in St. Mary Major, which is my very special basilica I love. And it was to him.
Yes.
He loves the Virgin Mary, and he spoke of her. He would pray, asking her intercession whenever he went on a papal trip. He would go there to pray. And also is to show his connection to the people of Rome, because one of his titles is the Bishop of Rome.
Yeah.
And he loved dearly the people of Rome. So St. Mary Major is not technically in the Vatican. It's in Rome itself. So it's to show his closeness to the people of Rome.
That doesn't surprise me. That sounds exactly what he would do. Yeah. Why do popes need to have a new name when they become pope?
It's just it's a tradition. It's like monks and nuns would take new names, religious names, and I believe it's just because they take on a new persona.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and so they've always, well, you know, I used to know all these things, but I mean, what year when they took a religious name, like another name other than theirs? Obviously, St. Peter didn't.
No, absolutely. Well, and I remember when we started this conversation before we came on air tonight, you talked about, that it was brought to your attention that Pope Francis started his life and ended his life in the same place. And to me, it's like, that signaled to me that everyone kind of thinks that, a new pope is almost like the start of a new life. You said a new persona.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes sense there, and that there is a new pope, a new life, and that's going to be happening again here in 2 weeks or whatever it takes.
And I have a very special connection to Pope Francis because I had gone on what we call a sabbatical time, 3 months of study in Rome,
mm-hmm.
and it was during my time there that Pope Francis was elected.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was actually in St. Peter's Square that rainy Tuesday night when the smoke appeared. And no one expected it to be that early.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, come on, this is historic. When the black smoke comes, we'll go out to eat. We'll go to a restaurant. Well, little did we know I didn't get to the restaurant that night.
What is
so excited?
Well, actually, I was going to say we're going to go to break here in a second. Why don't we just actually do that now? Because I have a lot of questions. They're good questions, and this is really pretty cool. We got some folks in the comments that have some stuff that they want to ask as well. And I'm really excited that you're giving so much of your time to us tonight. I don't know if I told you, this is a 5-hour episode. So, no, just kidding. Father Bob. Bob's just like, I need a bigger hat. No.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? Let's go ahead, take our break. When we come back, if you have any more questions, put them in the comments. We're talking about the conclave. We're talking about the transitioning from one pope to the other. And don't go anywhere because you're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information.
Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We are having quite the timely, unfortunately, the timely subject of the Pope passing and what happens next. And we want to talk about the conclave here. But Father Bob, who is our special guest tonight, is this a paranormal show? I want to ask the question, has there been any word citing stories of past popes, like their spirit coming back in any possible way? I mean, apart from something like Pope John Paul, who's now a saint, that sort of thing, but just more of like what we would encounter doing like a paranormal sort of thing, like their spirit is seen and known. Has there been anything like that ever?
I haven't heard that. The only thing I can say is that there have been exorcists during exorcisms who have felt or sensed the presence of St. John Paul II, because demons fear him. He's a formidable ally against the demonic.
I find that we're talking about this right before the show started. It's like I forget that he is actually known as Saint John Paul II, which he was canonized about 5 years ago or something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, and because another and in the comments, let's see here in the comments. Let's see if I can find it. Joanne says she's wondering if there's any news on the young lad that was to be recognized as a saint. Adam had brought that up to me. I didn't know about that one. What's going on there?
Yes. Well, yeah, there are two young saints who are slated to be canonized. One is named Carlo Acutis. The other one, who's a little older, he was a young adult, is Pier Giorgio Frassati.
Mm-hmm.
And Pope Francis wanted to canonize him on the Jubilee celebration for young people. But of course, with the passing of the Holy Father, everything gets put on hold. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's just everything's put on hold.
And I'm already hearing people talking about wanting to move towards canonization for Pope Francis as well.
Well,
I don't know specific, because I mean I did follow for St. John Paul II, the stuff that were attributed to him for miracles, which were incredible. It's being, and I'll be perfectly honest, it's being the first pope that I ever understood of what a pope was. And, I was only, I think, 4 when he was brought in as pope, that, he had been a big, substantial part of my life. It's very interesting for sure. Now, let's talk about the conclave, and let's start by talking about what it is. Wade here has your buddy Wade has a lot of questions about that we'll get to, because they're very good questions, and I think they just kind of fit into the overall of what this is. And it's interesting how about less than a month beforehand, there was a film called Conclave that came out with Ray Fiennes, and which I had been wanting to see. Let's just start very simply. What is Conclave?
Okay. Conclave is a special meeting of the cardinals from around the world who are eligible, who are under 80 years old, they will discern and pray and vote for who would be the next pope. And so what happens is, I forget the date now. They did say the date of the conclave, but so much has been happening. I can't remember all the details. But what they'll do is they'll have a procession into the Sistine Chapel, and then they'll seal the doors that no one else can enter. And they're not allowed to see any outside news, television, radio, or anything during the time of the conclave. So they can't be swayed by any kind of, media or whatever.
Sure.
And so the other thing is that they take an oath on the Bible saying that they will not divulge what happens in the conclave. So whenever you see movies about what goes on in the conclave, we don't know. So, saying all this intrigue and all this fighting and all that, they don't know that. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because it is secretive. But during that, but certainly there's a lot of discussion on who is the man who they think is suitable for this particular time. Just like with St. John Paul II, it was during the time of communism. So he was the right man for the time there. And what people don't realize that between him and Ronald Reagan, that communism fell because of those two.
Sure.
Workings of those two.
And
then Pope Benedict was a teacher. So he taught us much in his time. Saying Pope Francis teaches us love and charity and reaching out to the margins. So he was the right man for the time for us today, walking in the footsteps of St. Francis of Assisi.
Do you think that is what comes into play when the cardinals are discussing, do you think that they're laying out basically the climate of the time, and that they're looking like this is who we should be, like our candidate for pope should be following within where we feel the climate is and where we feel that the church wants to go?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's discussions, and I don't know if they break up into groups. They might. I don't know, but I'm sure. Yes, they do. They talk about it and see who it is. Then they have the vote, and it has to be a 2/3 majority. 129 cardinals that are voting.
Do you think?
And if there isn't, then the black smoke goes up. They don't have a pope yet.
Do they have
if they do get to 2/3 majority, then the white smoke comes up.
Do they have a number of votes that they can do a day?
I believe it's 2 now.
2 a day. Okay.
When I was in Rome, I think they had one during the day, one in the evening.
And then, as Wade has in the comments, when the bishops or the cardinals in this case they're sequestered like a jury away from the media. But where do they stay? And I've actually had seen something on this before. Where do they stay?
I believe they stay at the guest house where Pope Francis lived, the Casa Santa Marta.
Okay.
See, now when I was there on sabbatical, we lived above St. Peter's Basilica at the North American College. And actually, we hosted the American Cardinals when they were there for the conclave. So, Yeah, I mean, they're able to, before they go, we all cheer them on until they got in there, but they would stay at the guest house of St. Martin's.
Wade has another question, and Bruce, I see your question. Jenny, I appreciate your comment. I want to make sure that I'm getting everybody here, and because I want to piggyback on Wade's question. Wade says, a question for both of you. It's an opinion only. Since the next pope will be the head of the Catholic Church on a paranormal influence, asking on a paranormal influence, do you think the pope was preordained based on the vibration of the soul, or is it picked by free will spontaneously?
I don't know. I know they pray,
Yeah.
and we believe that the Holy Spirit works through the whole mechanism of the conclave. Even if there's division, even if there's disagreements, all of that stuff, even if there's a little politicking going on for people's candidates, because there are different ones that are favored to see. But somehow we believe that the Holy Spirit does work that, and it's the right person for the right time.
Because and that's where I was going to go from my understanding of years, that ultimately it is, we are to believe that it's a direct, connection to God and the Holy Spirit. With that being said, too, it's like, and maybe have misunderstood years of how this all worked, but I always kind of got the impression that the direction that Pope John Paul II brought to his papacy may not have been exactly what maybe some members of the inner workings of the church maybe would have expected, like with the amount of growth and amount of progressiveness that the Pope portrayed through the years. And like I said, maybe I'm misunderstanding that to me almost feels more like that maybe there's like spirit that is guiding, because this is what is needed in that role, perhaps.
Right. John Paul II was one that really brought the papacy out to the world.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to call him the Globetrotter. He brought the church, he brought the papacy to the world rather than them having to come to Rome. So, I mean, he went to so many different ones and set the tone for future popes.
Right.
I mean, the others did, but nothing like John Paul II.
No. And it's really interesting. And Wade, I love that question, and thank you for that. Also Adam had asked the question before we started, with normally how it has worked over the past, for so long now, that you end up getting you end up doing a conclave a certain way based on a pope passing. But in the case of Pope Benedict, that he resigned, he stepped down. Did the conclave change at all with that?
No. I mean, there was a precedent set for resigning, but it hadn't been done in so long.
Yeah,
in the hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
So he felt, in light of what was going on, what he felt needed to be done, that he couldn't do it, and that it had to be given to someone else. And he had the extreme humility to admit that and to step down. I mean, that takes a special kind of guy to do that.
And and that's not, I mean, so really all that we don't have in that situation, we don't have the mourning, because it was just, must have been probably some point we agreed when Pope Benedict. So Pope Benedict would have still been the Pope up until the time that Pope Francis became Pope, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And then he became Pope Emeritus.
Oh, sure. Oh, of course. That would make sense.
Yeah. So it was a whole different dynamic in that you have, one who didn't die. But he did go into kind of seclusion. He lived in a former monastery in the Vatican grounds, and really kept to himself so that the new pope could, exercise his ministry. but it was different. I remember because we were on the hill, Pope Benedict had his final words and all that, and he took off in the helicopter, and the helicopter went around St. Peter's and went around even where the North American College was, and we were out in the balconies of our retreat house looking up, and it was really an emotional time.
I bet it was
amazing. There was so much being there at a papal election time for myself. I could have never dreamed that I would have been there for that. And because we were there were priests on the sabbatical. Even though we were there for classes, they needed the priests there to help for all the big masses. So they let us out to go help at the masses, and we were fine with that.
Wow. Truly, what a time. I mean, like you said, I mean,
oh my gosh, historic.
It's, I mean, how fortunate to be able to take part in not only history, but I suppose your spiritual journey itself.
Yes,
meant quite a bit.
Yes.
And I, from what I understood about Pope Benedict when he stepped down, is that he did not live a life of riches either. He lived, from what I understood, a very humble lifestyle after he stepped down.
Yes, he did. He lived in a former convent on the grounds of. We went past it. We were on a sabbatical, like near the Vatican Gardens. It's a very humble place. And the one thing that people need to know too is when Pope Francis decided not to live in the papal apartments, it's not because they were plush and all that. They were very simple. The reason why Pope Francis wanted to go to the house of St. Martha's house because he wanted to be around with people. That was his personality. So it wasn't about one was extravagant and one wasn't, because the papal apartments are not extravagant. He wanted to be around people. He was energized by people.
And I suppose that's what keeps the church going on a spiritual level, is having that the leaders are not the same. Each one is completely different.
As different as the times are.
And Jenny, I do see your question. I mentioned, and you may not have been here yet, I mentioned at the top of the show that I'm only going to be taking questions regarding the conclave and the transition of popes. And I just want to make sure that you understand that, so you don't think I'm ignoring your question or anything. Bruce asked the question of what's the youngest a pope can be age-wise, but I guess that depends on the youngest cardinal, right?
Correct. Well, actually, it doesn't have to be a cardinal. It has to be a baptized Catholic male. And not that it wouldn't happen, but I guess it has in history. But now it's just basically it will be a cardinal.
So technically, you could still be pope.
I could.
And you're not the Vatican waiting and lobbying for yourself. I don't know.
Well, I have people lobby for me down there.
you got people. That's good.
I got my menu all set. I want my pasta every day.
Why don't we go ahead and do this? I want to take our next break. When we come back, let's continue this conversation. And there's still some more questions, and I want to get through the rest of that transition, as we're in a very a unique part of history right now. And we want to just kind of continue speaking on it. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. MetamorphosisConnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit MetamorphosisConnections.com and sign up today.
It's that time of year again where the weather is getting nice and it's time to get out of the house for some family fun. Lilliput is the perfect place and is open for the season. Be the first to take on their newest escape room, The Bunker. It's intense, exciting, and totally unforgettable. Prefer spooky? Try the Haunted Mansion. When you're done escaping, hit the mini golf course, go-karts, and jump pads. Lilliput is perfect for parties and group events too. Visit lilliput.net for hours and start your spring adventures at Lilliput. Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We're going to do a replay tomorrow. We're going to have on Liz Johnson from Mega's Books. We played this back in June last year, talking about potions. Fascinating, very fascinating conversation. I love listening to her. Please join in tomorrow. And then we're live again on Friday. Adam and I will be here for Casual Friday. We'll find Question of the Week, all that good stuff. It's going to be great. A way to end the week. And I feel like, Adam, I feel like that you want to end the week right now anyway. So, you know.
Oh, it'd be nice if it, well, I got to work Saturday, so it'd be nice if it were Sunday already.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, sounds like you have a lot to look forward to, don't you?
A ton. I'll be here if you need me.
Well, and it sounds like I'll be board hopping Matt McNeil's show tomorrow. So join in to that.
Yeah, you should have a good time doing that. I unfortunately had to bow out, which is great that we have Father Bob on tonight to bless my sinful soul tomorrow for not being here.
Yeah, exactly. Father Bob, Adam is actually going to go see, because he's a big, why do I keep blanking on his name? I mean, you worship him like Father Bob worships God.
Yeah, I'm going to go see the Dogma movie, the re-release from Kevin Smith. And I remember that was a big hullabaloo back in 1999 when it originally came out.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know there was a
They're re-releasing it for 25 years.
If you want to call Adam a heathen right now, you are more than welcome to. So
it's okay. It goes with my my vocation to forgive.
Yeah, right. Well, Adam, I don't forgive you. So there we are. No, whatever. Let's see. Already we're starting the movement. Thomas Patrick Gormley says Pope Bob. And I like the ring of it. But that wouldn't be your name. You'd have to get a new name. Now, are those names pre-selected?
No.
They get selected at the time that the Pope
chooses it.
He chooses it. Okay. I wasn't sure.
And I think most of them that feel that they're, that they're candidates for that, because there are some that are popular and, that you figure will probably be one of them. They're probably thinking of what name. My name would be Innocent.
Say that again. What?
I would choose the name Innocent.
Innocent? Pope Innocent the First?
No, there was a bunch of them named Innocent. Not all innocent.
You got to understand. I know like 5 Pope names, but then luckily a lot of those have been used like 16 times.
Yeah.
So like
I think Tom Gormley would get a chuckle out of that if I said Innocent. I'm going away with him for the weekend. Pray for me. We're going to St. Albans sanatorium
Oh,
for a
yeah.
conference.
I've been out there. I've been out there.
I've been there years ago.
Yeah. I only got as far as the outside though. Because we just drove up to there and I took pictures and got him because it was during the week and it doesn't really open till the weekend. So very interesting. And we got all clergy joining us tonight. We have Father Ken also in the comments tonight. You can't get these people to watch my show unless we get more priests involved, I guess. There you go. But
he's my partner in crime.
Yeah, he is.
We're co-directors of the Holy Sword Apostolate. He's the West Coast, I'm the East Coast.
Well, and I've had Father Ken on a couple times, and it's
sorry.
been, well, I mean, it's but he's full of good information, and he says nice things about me, so that's one way to get on the show. I guarantee it. Yeah. As a hint, Father Bob. Let's see here. Let's see. Wade says, great show. Has a pope ever been impeached?
No.
Is that the right terminology for that? Like impeach?
I don't know what you would. I don't know what you would call it, but no, nothing like that.
What about, because the second part of Wade's question is it true there was once a female pope elected without knowing she was not a male?
No.
So that's not real, huh?
That's Conclave. That's the movie Conclave. And somebody's product of somebody's overactive imagination.
I thought that this was something like from the 1600s, actually. And
there was some kind of a story about La Popessa or whatever, but no, that didn't.
That's not true, huh?
Pope Joan, no, that was.
That's not okay. All right, interesting. Well, I've taken that as a fact, but that's just more of a falsity, I guess. Interesting. And is it also interesting? Dawn had asked the question early on, and she had asked the question, and we answered it. What does it take for someone to be considered to become a pope? And here I'm thinking, well, you got to be a cardinal or something. But you had told us in the last segment, as long as you are a male and baptized Catholic. Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot, and this is the most controversial I'm going to get tonight. Do you think there'll ever be any sort of change in the way that the Catholic Church looks at gender equality?
I don't think it's going to change of what we feel, because equality doesn't mean that everybody has to do the same job, but we complement one another. I mean, women have been in the forefront in the church in leadership in many different areas, throughout the years, especially now.
Right.
So, I don't foresee that changing.
And I don't mean to put you in an awkward spot. I'm just kind of curious, and I don't expect you to know the answer to this either. But I suppose if a woman gets involved with the Catholic Church, it's out of her mind that she has it out of her mind already that she'll never be a pope, and that's an aspiration. That if you have that aspiration currently, you shouldn't be going into any sort of seminary.
Nobody should be going in with that.
Well, yeah,
even the cardinals that go in don't. It's not something that should be an ambition.
Yeah.
It's just something that happens, and if you happen to be a cardinal, then that could be a consideration, but it's not something that you have to be ambitious for. In fact, that's the very last person you want to be a pope.
Well, from what I understand, especially when it came to Pope Francis, that I always heard stories that he I don't think anyone ever necessarily rejects it per se, but they are very much like you said, they're not like, oh yes, I finally made it, I made my career goal.
Oh yeah, I don't think any of them, at least in modern times. I mean, Pope John Paul was like, "What have you done?" And I think John Paul I, who only lasted 30 days, reigned 30 days, was the same thing too.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Francis didn't expect it either.
And Pope John, the Pope that lasted 30 days, that's actually who I was thinking about more, because he did literally say, "What have you done?"
Yes.
Yeah, that's
he did.
And that's a whole other story right there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, a lot's come out, as far as medication and how much he paid attention to his health or what he should have been doing.
Yeah.
And it just happened that, he lasted 30 days. My opinion is that we needed John Paul II, and God had to maneuver that. It may not have been able to happen during that election,
Well,
but he left a legacy.
Well, he did. I mean, he left a legacy before he became a
smiling pope.
Yeah. Because I was listening to a program about him, and his whole time as being in the church was one of a steady, quiet, but a strong faith lifestyle, I guess. Very interesting. I mean, that's the whole thing about this stuff. It's so interesting, it's one of those things. I suppose there are people out there who know the Cardinals, like know who they are, which I'm going to be honest, I don't. I would expect you would, but there are people out there who are probably making, like, not necessarily bets, maybe our bets of like, oh, I think it's going to be so and so. I think it'll be so and so and whatnot.
I mean, I have my favorite who I would want to see. I mean, we all do, I'm sure.
How does that? I mean, obviously, if they're like in your diocese or around, that you see a lot of them in the work that you do. Do you ever follow other cardinals or other bishops, or just to kind of see what they're doing and maybe what their teachings are or whatever? I mean, kind of a fan, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, we live in such a smaller world now with the media that it's easy to see what others are doing, One of the ones I'm really impressed with, there is the Cardinal of the Philippines, Cardinal Tagle. I really like him, and he speaks English well. I wouldn't mind him becoming the Pope.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to see him. Very humble man. He would be a lot like Francis.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see the next couple weeks, and Cardinals right now they're amassing themselves over to the Vatican, and but nothing starts until after the 9 days.
After the
15
funeral on Saturday.
Okay, after the funeral on Saturday. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the next couple weeks pan out. And as you said, you have an event at St. Albans this weekend. What does that look like for a priest to be at a paranormal investigation? We have about 2.5 minutes left. What does that look like as far as like what approach do you take in those situations?
Well, I'm going to give a workshop on spiritual warfare, spiritual protection, even a little bit of demonology, and that's my contribution to the paranormal community. You know, and as far as paranormal activity, we don't know. So, there's a lot of mysteries out there.
Now, as we have about a minute and a half left, and you just said a lot of mysteries out there, Wade wanted to know, when the new Pope is elected, is there any biblical secret files that you'd like to see released? Or that you'd like to get clarification on?
I can't think of any, because most of them are now open.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, the archives have been open. I always wanted to know the third secret of Fatima, but that's been revealed. That would have been one I would have wanted to, but Pope John Paul II revealed that in the year 2000.
And didn't was it Pope Benedict or Pope Francis that opened up letters from, I forget, the Pope during World War II to show that they were not, that the Vatican was not in league with the Nazis?
Yes. Benedict definitely did.
Benedict did.
I don't know about Francis, but Pius XII got a bad rap. We could do a whole story show on that, but you know, the many things went into that. But he was not Pope, and the amount of Jewish people that was saved, especially in Italy, 80% were saved. They were hidden in convents, monasteries, all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
mm-hmm.
And they were a lot of times funded by the Pope.
Mm.
You know,
absolutely. Father Bob, we're running out of time here. I just wanted to thank you very much for staying up late with us tonight. I really appreciate it. Giving us a lot of great knowledge and a lot of your great information. It's always good to talk with you, and I appreciate your time tonight.
You're welcome.
We'll talk soon, Father Bob. Appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with a replay from Liz Johnson and Casual Friday on Friday. Everyone, have a fantastic evening.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me in